facebook.com/festival.
Tonight, we're going to do the whole arc of, of women filmmakers. Dorothy Arzner.
40 years, I guess, yeah.
Going into Ida Lupino, going into Elaine May, going into Joan Darling. These aren't women's films.
No, and they're not little esoteric things. They're very much of their time, particularly when we end in the middle 70s. And I think back in the middle 70s were a time of such excitement for women. Women's liberation was in the conversation.
Well, I think Dorothy Arzner, Ida Lupino, Elaine May, we really need to reevaluate. These are just great films. It's really interesting. We're moving into this time now of the golden age of Hollywood movie making, and yet this is the part where we're going to find very few women. Starting with Dorothy Arzner in the way of Ida Lupino, and then there's a long block of time, and then we're gonna...
I mean, it's called the golden age because of some of the films it produced.
Yes.
But it certainly wasn't the golden age for women because studios had become factories. The jobs had become very delineated. And as I said, men wanted those jobs.
Yes, and Dorothy Arzner stands out as any introduction to filmmaking. When I was a kid, you're looking at books. Yeah. Oh, who's the woman wearing the suit?
That's exactly, with the short hair combed back.
Yeah.
And the tie.
And that is your only... But I associated her more than her films. And as I've gotten older, I found I really love her films. There's a movie I showed here in TCM, The Bradward Red, which I love. Dance Girl, Dance I love. She moved the camera. I mean, she supposedly is credited,
now I don't, again, I don't like to use first, but she's often credited with being the first person to devise a boom mic.
Yes.
Just so that could move, because that transition. One of the interesting things about her, I think, is she was such a workaday worker all her life. I mean, she begins in something like 1919 as a typist at Famous Players Lasky. She moves over, which becomes Paramount, and she becomes an editor, which wasn't a surprise for women because they were often editors, because it was viewed as women's job because they had smaller hands.
Right.
It was like a dental assistant, where you could sew. If you could sew, you could cut, because that's what it was called, cutting. And you cut and you glued. That was editing in those days, in the earlier days. But her big breakthrough was editing Blood and Sand with Valentino, where they really noticed the editing.
Right.
And from that, she was allowed and given credit. She directed Clara Bow's first talkie.
Yes.
Wild Party. At a time, Clara Bow was close to the #1 star. So to be given that film to direct showed incredible faith in Dorothy Arzner.
Well, for me, her signature style is energy, and the women always have a lot of sass. This film it's kind of self-explanatory in the title, Dance Girl. You're going to see some dancing. You're going to see some girls. You're going to see a fantastic cat fight.
Exactly, and you're going to see some great female protagonists.
Yes.
You're going to see some three-dimensional women, and not just, as Faye Kanan used to say, women as wallpaper.
Yes.
This was, in terms of that golden age of Hollywood, no matter who was directing, there were a lot of films about women with women's names in the title. There were many more female protagonists than there are today.
Yes, and Dorothy Arzner, I'm a big fan of her work, and she's so much more than the lady in the suit, which is...
Yeah, the first woman to be a member of the Directors Guild.
Exactly. Well, this is just such an enjoyable film. So from 1940, starring Maureen O'Hara, Lucille Ball, Louis Hayward, and Ralph Bellamy, here is Dance Girl Dance.